Well, for more on how the meeting could shape China-U.S. relations and what's at stake, let's bring in Ralph Winnie. He's the director of the Eurasia Center's China program and the vice president of the Eurasian Business Coalition's Global Business Development. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rachelle. Glad to be here on this historic occasion.
Indeed. So let's get right to it.
Okay.
What are the most important issues to the Chinese and U.S. economies that will likely be discussed during this meeting?
Well, certainly trade is definitely on the agenda. I think if you look at, there's two wings within the Trump administration. One is the Gary Cohn, Steve Mnuchin wing that's very pro-trade and engagement with China, that is seeking to use the summit as a way to engage in constructive dialogue, to develop a relationship focused on the trade agenda, and at the same time try and bring China around to deal with issues that are affecting the uncompetitiveness of U.S. companies overseas, especially trying to get into China to do business.
And what do you think China wants to see?
I think China wants to see that they have a willing partner in Trump, that they can work with him. They want to make sure that he adheres to the One China policy. I think they would like to get a commitment that he is someone that they feel they can work with. I think the first meeting is key. You have to develop that personal relationship to see if each side is a willing partner.
And being that this is their first face-to-face meeting, obviously still getting to know each other, what are some of the issues do you think they may table for another time or really not try and discuss, being that this is the very first meeting?
Well, I think if you look at the other wing of the Trump administration, the Peter Navarro, the Steve Bannon wing, they're very pro trying to label China as a currency manipulator. And I think you're going to see Trump move away from that for now and really focus on trying to promote a cordial relationship and develop an understanding that we have to bring the two countries together on what constitutes what Trump would say is free and fair trade in order for the base in the United States to be satisfied that this meeting is a success.
And speaking of the expectations for this meeting, we know that China's Vice Foreign Minister said this meeting was significant to charting China-U.S. relations in a new era, advancing the development of bilateral ties in a healthy and stable way from a new starting point. So what issues do you think are they likely to really find common ground on in this new era?
I think they should push the idea of a bilateral investment treaty. That's 8 years in the making, but you could start setting the stage at this summit as a way to develop increased trade and economic development between the two countries. One of the things that Trump is focused on is bringing jobs and foreign direct investment into the United States. And looking at a BIT, a bilateral investment treaty, or looking at ways to enhance the ability of U.S. companies and small business to get into China to develop in the Chinese market is key. China can be a very tough market to get into, especially if you're a small, medium-sized company.
And to that end, we know that the U.S.-China strategic and economic dialogue is scheduled for this summer. What do you expect, excuse me, the two administrations to work on between now and this summer?
Well, certainly the North Korean situation is in the news. And there's a lot of talk about Trump using trade as a leverage to get the Chinese to bring the North Korean government in line. So I see that issue, while it's not trade related, it is certainly part and parcel of a trade agenda, because the situation in North Korea can become very unstable and create problems along the Chinese border and create problems for constructive trade relations between the U.S., China, and other countries, especially in Southeast Asia.
And to that point, how key are the dynamics of what happens with this China-U.S. Meeting to the other economies in the Asia-Pacific region? It's
extremely vital, because they're going to watch and see what kind of relationship is developed between Xi Jinping and Donald Trump. Having the meeting with Japan first sent a message to China that Japan is an ally of the United States. So the Chinese certainly want to be able to come to the table and show that they are as engaged as Japan is.
Certainly a dynamic a lot of countries around the world have a stake in. Thank you so much, as always, Ralph Winnie, Director of the Eurasia Center's China program and Vice President of the Eurasian Business Coalition's Global Business Development. Thank you again.
Thank you.